All right, let's talk about supercharging your savings. Have you ever wondered if that was even possible? Well, today we're diving into a project called LStake that's all about doing just that. Now, this is the very first explainer in a 10-part series where we're going to break down everything you need to know, starting right here with the big picture. Okay, let's dive in.
But hang on, before we get into the good stuff, just a quick but really important heads up. This is all for educational purposes only. We are not financial advisors, and none of this is financial advice. You've always got to do your own research before making any kind of investment.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off with a super simple way to think about LStake. Then we'll dig into the problem it was created to solve. After that, we'll check out its main advantages, get our heads around its two-token system, and of course, ask that all-important question, so what's the catch? And finally, we'll give you a little preview of the whole 10-part journey we're about to go on.
All right, first up, what is LStake? Really? At its heart, the easiest way to think about it is to imagine your plain old savings account, and then imagine giving it a massive, massive upgrade.
Think about it. With a normal savings account, your money earns interest from just one source, right? It grows, sure, but it's usually pretty slow. Now, what if you had an account where your money was earning interest from 7 different sources all at the exact same time? That is the fundamental idea behind LStake.
Now, to really understand why LStake is so cool, we need to talk about the problem it was built to fix. And that whole story starts with something else called Barnard Bonds. Imagine you own a little toll booth on a super busy digital highway. Every single time someone makes a trade on that highway, you get to collect a tiny fee. With Barnard Bonds, all those little fees can add up to a really impressive return. We're talking somewhere around 60% a year. Sounds amazing, right? Well, there's a catch.
And here it is. It's a big one. If you want to sell your Barnard Bonds and get your money back, you get hit with a flat 10% exit fee. Always, no exceptions. So if you put in $1,000, you'd lose $100 right off the bat just for taking your own money out. Ouch! That is a pretty steep price to pay.
And this is exactly where LStake comes into the picture. It uses that same powerful bond engine, but instead of hitting you with that painful 10% fee, it lets you sell on the open market. Now, this means the price you get might be a little different than what you expect. In the crypto world, we call that slippage, but it usually only ends up costing around 5 to 8%. It's still a cost, yeah, but it's a whole lot better than a guaranteed 10% hit.
But LStake is way more than just a cheaper way to get your money out. It also adds a whole suite of extra benefits that you just do not get from holding those bonds all by themselves. Let's take a quick look. Okay, here are the 4 big ones. First, like we said, those 7 growth engines, not just the one. Second, it offers hedge protection, which is a fancy way of saying some of your money gets diversified into other things, like Bitcoin and gold, to lower your risk. Third, there's an emergency protection feature, which is basically an escape hatch if things ever go really wrong. And fourth, it has something called partner reinforcement, which means that new projects that join the system actually make your investment stronger. Don't worry, we are going to do a deep dive on each of these in future explainers.
So how does all this magic happen under the hood?
Well, LStake is powered by 2 different tokens that work as the team. It might sound a little complicated at first, but its simple analogy makes it all click. Think of it like this. The first token, LStake, is like owning actual physical gold bars that are stored in a super secure vault. As more and more gold gets added to that vault, your share of it becomes more valuable. Simple enough. Now, the second token, sLStake, is like owning stock in the company that runs the vault. So you benefit from the gold's value going up, and you get a piece of the profits the company makes. So LStake is kind of the master token. It sits right on top of LStake, and by holding it, you get exposure to everything happening in the entire system. That includes all 7 of those growth engines we keep talking about. It's really the simplest way to get a piece of the whole pie. Okay, I know what you might be thinking right now. This all sounds a little too good to be true. So let's talk about it. What's the catch? Because every single investment has some kind of trade-off.
When you deposit money into LStake, 95% of it goes straight to work in that bond engine we talked about. The other 5% goes into something called the treasury. You can think of the treasury as the system's own savings account. And that 5%, that's essentially the cost of using the LStake system.
But here's the really clever part. Most of that 5% doesn't just disappear into thin air. The Treasury actually takes that money and reinvests it to make the whole system healthier and stronger, which, in turn, helps increase the value that's backing your own investment. So yeah, there's a cost, but a lot of it comes right back to help you out. Now, as we've been saying, what we've covered today is just the beginning, the big picture view. We've actually put together a full 10-part series to take you all the way from a complete beginner to an LStake Pro.
We're going to cover absolutely everything: where your money actually goes when you deposit, what gives these tokens their value in the first place, a deep dive into all 7 of those growth engines, a closer look at the 2 tokens, you name it. By the end, you'll see the whole picture, clear as day.
Yep, 10 explainers in total. By the time we're done, you're going to have such a solid handle on LStake that you'll be able to explain it to your own friends. We're going to cover it all, one step at a time. Okay, so let's do a super fast recap of today. Number 1, LStake is like a savings account with 7 sources of interest. 2, it offers a much cheaper way to get your money out than buying bonds directly. 3, it adds extra layers of protection. 4, it uses that 2-token system, LStake and sLStake. And 5, that 5% cost mostly gets reinvested to benefit you. So, what's next? In our next explainer, we are going to answer a really important question. When you deposit money into LStake, where does it actually go? We are going to follow the money step by step to see exactly how the system puts it to work for you. You are not going to want to miss that one.
And just one last time, our full disclaimer. This content is for educational purposes only. We are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. Cryptocurrency investments are very risky, and you could potentially lose all of your money. So please, always do your own thorough research before making any decisions. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.